these things you're seeing.
I remember I was just hearing that ringing again, but it was only on one side, on my left side. I used my cane and walk around and get right here. I saw the moon, as bright it was, then I just see this object, a white object, circling it. Then it came back around and it did it again. Then it just went and it went backwards towards it, and I can remember seeing it just jolt. I just see that weird flash. And I guess it probably noticed me or something. Then it just took off.
You're talking about craft. Craft with unusual propulsion.
Yes.
So it's not just the ranch, it's all around you in the basins, around your home, around your property. Whatever this phenomenon is, it's all around you here.
Yes.
Some people have been harmed by these. Their lives have been changed. Once you see something like this, you can never see the world the same again.
It just has to happen to you. Something is here.
You hear that?
Is it real?
Oh, yes, I believe it is. That's real.
You hear
All those
that?
deniers, just come out here. I don't care how many numbers.
You hear
They
that?
just gotta have that kind of experience, but it's a gamble. Some days they're here, some days they're not.
You hear that?
It'll take days, weeks, months just to have just one real experience. I think just
Listen.
one. Even just seeing a light or a UFO just coming by, just once,
Look
just
again.
get that one image, just like that.
It's
you know,
only
just
when
be
he
with
talk
them for
and the
rest of their
lady
life. Just
talk
have
that
one piece.
whistling appears.
I think there's a main porthole somewhere here.
There are big displays and the cops are called out. Something is coming over this area, beaming lights. Your concern last time was, is this having negative effects on the people I love? And is it government or is it entities,
Listen,
other
listen.
beings? You're both nodding your heads at time. So what is it? What does that mean?
What could it be? Is it from here or is it from somewhere else? The other side or a different world or somewhere, different solar system, just visiting. So the universe is wild. There's many planets. I don't know. I really would like to know. Maybe find out at least something.
If people wanted to come and visit this place, your end, would you advise them to do that or to not do that?
If you're curious, come and see yourself, Because I can sit here and tell you forever all my
Hear that?
experiences, but that's me.
But there are risks.
But yes, there is risks. You might see something you
You hear that?
handle, or you might experience entity, I'm gonna say, that you can't handle.
Listen to that.
Yeah, I don't know, it's hard. Yes and no. I just, it'd be up to that individual.
You hear that? He's there. Whatever is around them. He latch onto them and he's like, he's making fun of them. How many vegetarian persons are there? How many people know what we know? None.
The Gormans were especially sensitive to the incident with the bulls because of the losses they'd already suffered. Out of a herd of 80 cattle, they lost 14 head prior to the arrival of NIDS. Some disappeared, others were sliced up. 12 more cows and calves were killed while NIDS was on the ranch. Their neighbors, the Garcias, lost several animals as well. Some of their cattle appeared to have been killed by being dropped onto the pasture from a great height. The cattle mutilation mystery has been reported in at least 15 states dating back to the 1960s. Thousands of animals have been sliced up with surgical precision, mostly under the cover of darkness. If humans are doing it, not a single suspect has ever been caught. For the Gormans, the livestock losses were devastating, both financially and psychologically. And then things got worse.
For slaughter.
On March 10, 1997, Tom Gorman and his wife walked out of their home and into the pasture, planning to tag the ears of several calves that had been born in the preceding days. It was a bright, clear morning. Snow was on the ground. 50 yards from their house, they found the first calf.
They were with their dog. The two of them tagged and weighed this animal. They checked it at, I believe it was 84 pounds or 87 pounds. And they left the animal there with the mother. Everything seemed to be fine, although they did detect an odor in the air. Around this area, they detected a strong musk smell. They took note of it, and then they headed west. And they went about 300 yards west beyond, the dog run was not there at the time, but about 300 yards beyond, towards where that incline is, and they were tagging a second animal.
Only 30 to 40 minutes had passed. The Gormans had an unobstructed view of everything in the field, but didn't see or hear anything unusual until their dog focused its attention back toward the house and the first calf.
The dog with them down here at this stage began to act really strangely. It started
infrared.
growling, the hair on the back of its neck went up, and it started facing back towards here, growling and snarling, and then it just took off west, away from this spot. It just took off. It was never seen again.
The Gormans were curious and walked back across the field.
First thing they saw was the mother of the animal was running back and forth, kind of in a sort of half circle, from about this area to the fence line, just running back and forth, and it was limping. I mean, it was dragging its foot. It was limping. They met the animal, and they noticed that it was just totally out of breath. It was panting. It was obviously in deep stress, and it was dragging one leg.
And then they noticed the calf, or what was left of it.
The spread eagle on the ground, just about here, with it was lying with all four limbs just spread on the ground. All of its internal body cavity was gone. It was completely, pretty well, all of its muscle was gone from the torso. The legs were still intact, but one of the ears was also gone. So they called NIDS.
The rancher placed a call to the NIDS investigators who'd returned to Las Vegas for a rare weekend off. Within a few hours, a four-man team, including a veterinarian, was on the scene.
Necropsy started, and the first thing that the veterinarian noticed during the necropsy was that the ear of the animal had been sliced off with a very sharp instrument, possibly a scalpel, and the ear had contained a very large plastic yellow tag, like an ear tag, that they had just put on, and it was gone. So the necropsy.
It's because what happened there, they don't want animals to be raised to be slaughtered. That's what the problem is. I didn't know any alien anything. The Creator is punishing them.
I mean, in terms of strength, but that could have done that.
And how could a predator inflict such carnage without being seen or heard by the rancher, his wife, or his dog?
It was saw by the dogs. The dog saw it, detected it, and it wasn't any animal or predator. It was
A few hundred yards away,
See through. Taped the grass and showed, even 2 days later, you could still see the stain in the grass. So there was no blood whatsoever, not a single drop, either underneath the animal, on the animal, or on the grass. It was just completely clean.
a professional tracker was brought in. He scoured every inch of ground in and around the field, looking for tracks, human, animal, or vehicle. Nothing. Eventually, the investigators reached an unsettling conclusion.
The bottom line is this animal must have been killed elsewhere because there was no blood. There was no blood on the scene, and then the animal must have been brought back, laid down carefully, almost, really almost ritually on the spot where it had been tagged.
The NIDS team investigated dozens of mutilation cases across the country. Many of the tissue samples were analyzed in NIDS' own lab in Las Vegas and then double-checked by independent labs they hired. The Utah calf was in a category all its own. It seemed akin to psychological warfare, intended to shock and frighten the witnesses. The following night, there was another scare in the darkness of the first homestead. Shots were fired at something that had rattled the herd. Eventually, Colin Kelleher surmised that the perpetrators responsible for the calf were mechanical, like an assembly line in a meatpacking plant. A machine was involved with this carnage.
Whatever happened to that calf was an extraordinarily skillful job.
Robotoid. Come with lasers, electromagnetic. Linda Moulton talked about an instrument that got activated
Mutilations
and
are clearly one
took
aspect
the eye out of the guy that was holding
quantify
it.
to a degree. Physical evidence remains after the event, and we
look at
grasp
that.
to it in search of answers. Who is performing these horrific acts of violence?
They're making
Are they meant to unsettle us?
organic
Why?
robotoids
And are
with
there
the
even
organs.
answers to be found in these questions? During the time of the NIDS investigations, the phenomenon recorded and documented was more than elusive. It never actually repeated itself. From creatures to craft, from disembodied voices to trickster-like paranormal activity, it was a cosmic game of cat and mouse. Dark, shadowy beings observed climbing out of orange, glowing geometric portholes. Silent craft carving out chunks of tree branches as they traversed the landscape. Geomagnetic anomalies sending compasses into tailspins. Events indicating a precognitive ability by the phenomenon to know the next move of the investigators.
Well,
This
do
area
the
has been
opposite,
described as a
do
paranormal
things
business.
erratically.
If it's weird, it's happened in the Uinta Basin. But by far, the most constant theme in the area has always remained focused on UFOs. Ships. Ships that appear without discrimination. But not just passive UFO sightings. Sightings that are participatory. Experiences that tend to communicate with observers, interact with them. It's been happening in the area since humans settled there, and it continues to this day.
Because they don't understand it. They don't know how to talk to it. They don't know how to communicate to the Creator. So in the end, you didn't show shit. Only a fucking dead cow or calf, and come on.
Why are you keeping your identity secret?
A big old
I
rock.
have chosen to keep my identity confidential to not only protect the integrity of our effort and to avoid distractions that would potentially compromise our efforts, but also to maintain a level of professionalism in my other business activities and enterprises. I have a vast empire of business interests that I cannot allow to be compromised by virtue of any disclosure.
Oh shit.
Involvement in this effort.
Everybody wants to know, what is going on at the ranch now? Have you continued the research and have you amplified it?
We have entered an entirely new and expanded era of scientific investigation at Skinwalker Ranch. since acquiring the property